We should be broadcasting right now. So if you're wanting to get on and ask a question, you're welcome. And I'll also remind everybody we have our DVDs up for sale on the web page. We have a new web page up, redesigned, so it's up and running. And you can order the DVDs. You can also make a donation. We have our donate button. We got that fixed, so anybody that wants to make a donation, help out the beekeeping, you're welcome to do so. Okay, someone's trying to call in. Welcome, Patrick. I see we have quite a few new people starting tonight. Don't be afraid to get in and ask your question. We're here to help you any way we possibly can. Joe May is coming in. Welcome, Joe.
How you doing, Don?
You got your mic on?
Yeah, I did have.
Not hearing you tonight. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now? I'll have to go.
I'm not getting nothing tonight.
All right.
That's why I need a co-host to jump in there and give me a hand. All right, Larry's coming in. Let's see if Larry can get in here. Can you hear me, Larry? Evidently, I'm not getting audio tonight. Let me try refreshing here and see if that might help.
Can anybody hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you okay.
I had to get out and come back in. I couldn't talk to Don the first time.
I can hear you.
I think Don's the one that's not hearing. I could hear you the first time.
Oh, okay. Don't figure out how to get Eric comes.
Hey, look at that. I finally got in. You see, that's why I need a co-host to steer this high-tech thing.
Can you hear us now, Don?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I need to go back to my can and string. You know that?
There you go. How's things going, all right?
I hope everybody's doing good. I hope you heard the first part of the broadcast. And I guess I'm having slow internet service now. I see I'm fading in and out. I want to remind everybody we got our new webpage up. It's DixieBeeSupply.com or FatBeeman.com. We have our videos up, our volume 2 selection, and we got our donate button working. So if you decide you want to make a donate, you're welcome to. Helps with the videos and things. Anybody have a question? You can jump on in there. Joe, you ain't got a question tonight?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple questions.
Oh, good.
My hives are all honey bound, but they're in the deep brood boxes, and I don't want to put another deep on top. And they're not all capped. There's a way to pull that honey and put it someplace and let it dry out on its own. If you shake it, it still comes out, the one that's not capped.
Well, if you shake it and it's coming out and it's not completely evaporated, I would put another box on top and just stack them up. Even a 5-frame box, you can go 4 or 5 boxes high.
Okay.
That's the best thing to do with it.
Yeah. Next thing, queens got a lot of virgins coming back, and it's taking them forever to start laying. Is it just the weather, or is there something I can do to speed them up laying? It's taking like 10, 12 days before they start laying after they come back.
Well, we're having, where I live right here, this morning it was 45, 46 degrees. So we're having cold evenings. That's affecting the flight. They're not going out until usually in the afternoon, between 3 and 6 o'clock. They normally go out more like around 12, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock in that time frame. So weather plays a big part of it.
Okay, but after they come back mated, they're taking forever to lay. Is there a way to speed that up, or just got to wait on Mother Nature?
You got to wait on Mother Nature. You need good temperatures in that box, even if you get a well-mated queen. If your temperatures ain't warm enough, it's like a baby's incubator, you know. You got to be warmer there. If you don't have enough bees in there and they can bring that temperature up, they're not going to lay. And if they do lay and you got temperatures, Thomas just said he's going to be hitting 33. Any brood that you have in there is running the risk of getting chill brood. They're going to start hauling it out.
I want to let you know something on the mini nukes. Early in the year, I got some queens back, and I left them in there for about a week and a half, and they done a full frame of brood. And I pulled them dudes out of there out of 3 boxes, and they made queen cells and raised another queen out of it. I didn't have to do nothing but take the queen out.
Yeah, once you get a start on there, that the cycle just keeps going. If you got four frames in, or even 5 frames in those minis, you can set 4 more mini nukes up. Just shake your frame of bees extra in front of them, and they keep growing faster than you can build boxes. And you also can cut out the cells on those mini nukes without damaging a lot of comb.
You sure can. Yeah, my 12 this spring grow to 81. It's coming pretty fast.
Oh, yeah, you got to keep building boxes. Stevens cut out, I think, 6 cells in one of the mini nukes just on 1 frame. And then I believe he moved 2 of the frames and started 2 more boxes. So that's what we have.
Thank you, Don.
Okay. Does anybody else got a question? They can jump on in here. Don't be bashful. That's what we're here for, to help you out. Patrick, I guess, got 28 days from a split. He might have just done a walk-away type split. We try to make our splits where we have a queen cell ready to put in. And Patrick said his queens are smart. We'll try to get all of our smart queens. And that reminds me, somebody had called me from Vermont about a week and a half ago. And almost the first question out of his mouth is, did I give a diploma here at my bee school? And I told him, I said, if you needed a diploma to stay in Vermont and go to a college, that I had dumb bees that didn't read. So diploma don't do a whole lot of good. It's a common sense thing. Okay. Joe May's calling back again. Joe must have lost his connection. Did you lose your connection, Joe?
No, I was just trying to get off here and let everybody else have a chance to talk.
Okay.
So nobody was talking, so I thought we might as well keep things going. Hey,
Yeah.
on catching a swarm, is there any tricks to keep them in the box after you catch a swarm?
One of the easiest things to do when you catch a swarm is to shake it in front of the box about 12 to 18 inches and actually take your fingers and sort through that swarm, because you're going to have a minimum of 2 to 3 queens in that swarm. And sometimes this time of the year, if you got a good swarm out there, you could have as many as 30. It's common from 10 to 15 queens in any swarm, especially if it's the first swarm out of the box.
Okay, so if there's more than one queen in there, they'll probably swarm out of that box, right?
Not necessarily. You have what you call a major swarm, then you have after swarms. And your after swarms are going to have anywhere from 1 to 5, maybe 6 queens in. And they're not going to fight and kill one another until they go into a box or a hive. If they're in a cluster hanging in a tree, they get along. They don't fight until they get into the beehive. That's one thing that most people don't understand.
Well, I've had several guys caught swarms this year, and they can't seem to keep them in the boxes. I mean, they got frames in there, putting a frame of eggs in there, button them up for 3 or 4 days. Anything stop them from swarming back out of the boxes?
If they swarm back out of a box, there's either chill brood in there, you got fermented honey in the frame, or you have a queen that didn't mate. You got a queen that goes in there, or several queens. They're not going to fight and kill one another until you get one that's mated. Then she's going to take possession of that hive. I don't use anything to put in the hive other than just starter strips and new foundation. Now, if I'm putting packages in, I'll use a frame of honey, or I'll use a frame of sealed brood. I don't even use any that has eggs in it. But bees are bees. You know, you can provide them a nice house and everything, and you're not going to keep them there. There's no guarantee. It's not like cattle. You can't fence them in.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Vance, ain't you got a question here tonight?
Well, you're answering everything before I ask.
Oh, that's not fair. Well,
You know,
how's the hive doing? Is your hive doing well?
oh yeah, we're doing good. Facts about it, I just went over me and my nephew and got a bunch of bees out of the house. I ain't never seen as many bees in one place. And we got tubs of honey out. And while I was sitting here thinking, the brood we got out, we just rubber banded, put it in some nukes. We'd pour a bunch of bees in there with it and put a lid on it, let them make them their own queen.
Well, you can do that, but sometimes they drift back. You know, you need something to hold them there, either a queen cell that's ripe or, you know, a lot of bees.
Well, it's their own brood that I'm putting in there.
Well, that doesn't mean they're going to stay in that box. Bees are funny. Sometimes a brand new box they won't stay in. They prefer an old box that's beat up and falling apart. It's got the bee smell in it already.
Oh yeah, I know this.
Yeah.
When you're doing a box like that, Don, does the queen cell hold them in the box better than open brood?
Yep, sure does, especially if it's a ripe queen cell and it's ready to hatch. That's the whole trick to making queens and keeping them in the boxes. When you do a walk away where you're expecting them to do everything, make queens from basically the young larva, there's always a time frame when the bees are unstable and they won't stay in that box. What we try to do is get ripe queen cells. Queen cells that's ready to hatch within 24 to 48 hours. And TJ wants to know, how do I tell when to cut cells? We cut 3 days after they're sealed. No, that's too soon. You need to, if you're trying to time them out, you can either do it by color or by time. We usually try to do them between 10 and 12 days. That's going to give you 3 to 4 days leeway. One way to do it is look at the cells. They're going to change from a darker brown to a lighter on the end, and sometimes they start to thin them out, or you can almost see the queen moving in. It's fairly new foundation.
I'm going to have to say one thing. He's going to have a lot of experience. I cut 6 cells the other day, and they hatched within 12 hours. And I looked at them good, and I couldn't tell any difference in them.
Well, it takes a little, you've got to practice looking at them. I mean, what one person says is good looking comb, I could look at it and say it's too dark and I wouldn't be using it. So It's a thing you have to get accustomed to looking at and working with. Handling cells, not everybody handles cells the right way. You got to have a touch for it, and you got to cut a wide enough plug so that you don't touch that cell and kind of push it in. Because if you cut that cell at about 9 to 11 days and you touch that cell very much and you don't have good sensitivity in your finger, you can dent it in just enough to where they won't accept it. They'll reject it every time. Patrick says, thanks for the roller pin idea. I guess he's talking about when he makes foundation using a rolling pin to break up the cells in it. And let's see. Thomas wants to know, out of curiosity, do I set up a swarm trap? No, I don't set up any swarm traps. I try to use every single box to produce bees in. If I see a swarm in the yard and I got my pole there, I'll knock it down and try to go through it and catch all the queens out of it again. But it's common here to have, 4 or 5 different swarms in a day's time, because that's what we do, is we mate and queens all the time. So you could have anywhere from 5 queens going out in an hour, or you could have 50. It's just depending on when they decide to fly out and mate. I guess a lot of people didn't see our new posting on their time. We're doing the second Saturday of the month now because I'm busy as heck out in the bee yard. And come back this winter, we'll try to do it every Saturday night. And we'll see how that's going to work out. TJ wants to know any tips for seeing little black virgin queens. Well, that's like panning for gold. One person can spot it, another one can't. Best thing to do is look at your frame on an angle, on a 45-degree angle. That way you can see if there's a queen there and she's raised up. Should be a little higher. And the bees will actually circle around her. Okay. Jamie, welcome. Jump in the chat whenever you feel like it. I'm sure you're getting caught up on all your building over there. Jamie's one of our commercial students over in Alabama. He's probably on an iPhone. He can't get it to jump up on here. We got about 45 people in here, but yeah, Jamie's having trouble with his iPhone. We got about 45 people, but everybody's sitting back and listening. They need to jump in and ask. And Dean wants to know, recommended making splits in the summer, but still giving them time to build up for winter. I make splits almost every single day. And I try to make 25 to 50 splits a day. So I'm trying to build numbers. And contrary to what a lot of people think, I take my 8-frame stuff that's in September and I make 3 or 4 splits in 8-frame and go through the winter with 5-frame. And 5-frame nukes do winter a lot better than an 8-frame or even a 10-frame. So that's something to think about. We're coming up on honey season right now, so if you've got hives out there that's got a lot of bees in there, you should be starting to put them supers on. The privet is coming in fast and furious. They're usually filling the box up in 5 to 8 days right now and capping. So you need to move and check those hives every 7 days, see what's going on, or you're going to have a bunch of swarms. Because bees are only going to do 2 things. They multiply, and they store honey. If there's no place for that queen to lay, you're going to get queen cells. So my advice is go down in the brood chamber, get the honey out, put it up above, extract it, put some new foundation down there, give that queen place to lay, and you'll have a happier hive. See, we're all caught up on questions. Okay, let's see who's calling me now. Okay, welcome back.
Having a hard time getting back in.
Are you having internet problems too?
I guess so.
I'm having problems with our whole phone service. I ended up getting a cell phone because our phone has been down, so I had to get back a separate line just so I can do these chats. It's on a separate line, so it's not connected really to my home phone service.
Talking about winter in the 5-frame note. I live about 80 miles north of Nashville, and I wintered in single 5-frame nukes last winter. I wintered 2 different forms. I didn't, just one nuke, and they wintered in that. Of course, I've had to feed them when spring comes.
Well, that's why you want to
They made a
run
good
your
hive.
hive top feeders. Keep hive top feeders on those 5-frame boxes, and you'll be surprised. They'll go through winter a whole lot better.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yep.
That's the best feeder I've run into.
Yep.
Your feeder.
Yep, those feeders, they also provide a lot of ventilation. That way your bees don't get the moisture in them in the wintertime, and the moisture is what's killing a lot of the bees.
Yeah. I've had real good luck this year. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5 swarms. I don't know. We're getting a lot of bees in the country here. Used to, you never found a swarm of bees unless it's your hive.
I think what we're having right now, there's a lot of people that are listening to the TV, reading in the newspaper, and beekeeping has actually taken off real good now. So we're getting a lot of new beekeepers. The beekeeping clubs, they're also putting forth an effort. So we're at my bee club up there, we've tripled our population in there just because of the new influx of people coming in. It's a good hobby to get into, and it's something that's enjoyable and relaxing to a lot of other people.
Yeah, people just realize it wasn't pets. Around here, they get into it and they think it's a pet.
Everybody gets into it different. The colonel wants to know if the queen is not laying much, is a low population of bees, would she kick the laying in if you add some capped brood? If the queen is not laying at this time, what I think's happening is you've got a high mite population. You should be using oxalic acid and treat those bees a little bit. Depending on where you're at too. I think you're in Mississippi, and you probably had cold weather and damp weather over there, so that will have an effect on the population of the beehive. Best thing to do is put the feed to them, whether you've got a honey flow or not. Keep that sugar going. They won't take it if they don't need it, and it stimulates that queen in the land. Okay. And the colonel wants to know when you say cut cells 10 to 12 days. Basically, if you did a walk away type split, what you want to do is go in there at 10 days, 12 days max, and cut the cells. That would give you 3 to 4 days. If you're doing cut cells, then you have to keep your eye on it. We've got few new people joined. Don't be afraid. Jump in there and ask your questions. We'll be glad to answer them for you. Maria, she just joined us. She's new, and don't be bashful. Jump on in there. I'm here to help you.
Hey, Don, I've talked to a few people this year's had a lot of trouble getting their queens raised and mated. Has it been an unusual year and you've had a little trouble doing it also?
Well, we've had a fluctuation in weather, but no, we're getting good mating right now. I mean, the weather's fluctuating a little bit, but as far as mating queens, if you got enough bees in there, temperature's up, they're going to mate. Another thing is make sure you got enough drones, and the drones are old enough.
Drones ain't
Those,
a problem in this place.
yeah.
I'll send you some.
Yeah. If you're not feeding them, that's another thing. You need to feed them because they're not going to expand out unless they have the resources there, either artificially or natural. So, pollen substitutes is an answer too, but I personally don't believe in pollen substitutes. I look at the hives. If they're bringing pollen in, I figure they have enough coming in. I don't like to put stuff in my hives I don't know what's in the composition. And pollen substitutes or pollen boosters and pollen patties, you don't know what they're made of and what they contain. I don't feel like putting stuff in my hive and then getting my wax and stuff contaminated.
Yeah, bees not a problem in this yard, and drones are not. I shipped some frames out and had an inch of drones through a queen extruder the other day, laying on top of the queen extruder. Yeah. There's plenty of drones, big enough to ride and put saddles on.
Are you still coming down this month?
6th of June.
Okay.
6th of June, I'll be down there.
Yeah. Wade says he's going to come over and spend some time. He wants to hang around with you.
Okay. Well, I'll be there.
Wade is one of our students up here, and he's taking our commercial course too.
Yeah.
You're getting to be a celebrity up there on David's channel and a couple other channels.
We learn a lot from each other.
I guess David gets on Sunday, and usually when I come in on Sunday, I head to bed early. So I'm going to have to stay up late and get on his thing there and chat with him some.
The last 3 or 4 weeks, we've done it on Friday night, about 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I keep getting a notice on Sunday night that he's having one.
I should usually send you an invite on Friday night. I don't know. You got to be on Google Plus or whatever on to get it, I guess.
Well, I'm always willing to listen and try to learn from people.
We're trying. We have about 10 or 12 in there.
That's good. He helps pass out the word there.
Yeah.
The colonel says he has emerged queens. They've been emerged 5 days now, and he's had a week of rain. Yeah, they'll get mated. They're just a little bit slow to try to get mated. That's the whole thing. You just got to be patient. That's why you need to run a lot of boxes if you're turning queens at a pretty fast rate. We try to set up 15 to 25 new mating nukes just about every day. I had a new student here today, and 20-year beekeeper, and he says that he had learned more in 3 hours here than he had in 20 years. And a lot of it's just common sense stuff. We went over how to open a hive, close a hive, manipulate frames, how to use a hive tool right. And it might sound high tech, but you get in there with a hive tool and start manipulating frames, you can do more damage than you do good. And closing up the hive top feeders or putting lids on, I showed them a trick where you just put the one corner on and you rock it back and forth like a little sweeping it back and forth. Because if you squash one bee and that juice sprays out and gets on your hands or your fingers, those bees will actually start marking you all day. So if you don't squash bees, you'll have a happier bee day.
That plantain you talked about for bee stings, that's good stuff.
It's good stuff. It keeps your fingers moving good.
I put a bunch of it in a blender and mixed it with rubbing alcohol and put it in a bottle. It's a paste. I just carry it in my back pocket. It works great.
You got Botox in a bottle.
That's right.
Let's see. The colonel wants, when I make splits to get more cells, how many frames do I use? Most of my 5-frame nuke boxes, I run 1 to 3 frames. I never put 5 frames in a 5-frame nuke. And we do that because it's quicker to manipulate the frames. You don't have to pull a frame to the outside to inspect it. A 5-frame nuke only gets 5 frames when it's strong enough and it's ready for a pickup, because time is money. And when you go through there and you have to pull a frame up out of a 5-frame box, you run that risk always of rolling a queen. So that's one way to redo it. But we start the majority of our stuff with a frame of honey and a queen cell. So we don't have a lot of bees to start until the queen comes back. She's starting to lay. Then we pull brood from an 8-frame hive to add to it to boost the nuke up.
How many 8-frame hives you run down there to keep the yard going?
Well, right now we probably got 50 right here at the learning yard, and we got probably 12 miles from here. We got about 40 over there. And those are basically all double deeps. They're basically for shaking packages, because we shake fewer packages, but I have students that want to learn how to shake packages. So we take them there to show them how to shake a package and to estimate the weight on it. And then we'll scale 4 or 5 of them so they can see what they've done and how they do it. And we also shake packages here. A lot of times people want 1 or 2 packages to boost something up or to start another hive or an observation hive. So it's a lot of it is people have never seen it done and want to stand there and actually watch their own package being shook, the queen caught and put in the package. So a lot of people are getting more interested in where their stuff comes from and how it's produced. It's a lot of it.
On a 3-pound package, you got three mated queens. One comes with the package. You got 2 other mated queens. Can you split that 3 ways right off the bat? 3-pound package.
You mean put 2 other queens in the same package?
No, not in the same package. Put them in 3 different boxes and split them up thirds.
Yeah. Sure, you could do that.
I mean, that's plenty of bees, right?
Well, a 2-pound package will do it. All you need is a good laying queen and enough bees in there, and put them in a 5-frame box. That's what I do. They build up so much faster in a 5-frame box because they can build that heat up and get that temperature up there where they can start raising bees. That's the whole key. You take a 2-pound package and dump it in a 10-frame box, and then right next to it, dump another 2-pound package in a 5-frame box. And that 5-frame box will outproduce that 10-frame 5 times to 1.
You absolutely will.
Just because of the heat loss.
Yeah, I brought 8 single deep nukes through the winter, and they was in double deep 8-frames before my 8-frame single 8-frames that I wintered. Same yard, same food, same everything. They was probably 3 weeks ahead.
You see, you're learning by experimenting, and that's the best teacher. You'd be surprised how the bees can teach you if you pay attention.
We got that weird cold snap there in April, got down 24 degrees here, and I had queens in mini nukes, and I had cells make it through 24 degrees and come back with queens.
Well, if you got enough bees, they'll come off brood and they'll stay on a queen cell to protect the queen cell over brood. They'll do it every time.
Yeah, I had a lot of chill brood, but the queens they still made and come back and laid over and made split cell then. Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff that's not in the books people write out there. And people just don't want to pass on good information. So that's why I'm trying to get out here and help promote beekeeping and show people it's not hard. Anybody can raise queens. You can build numbers faster than you can build the boxes.
Well, I guess the problem I got now on my big hives, and they're loaded with bees. It ain't like they're liking for bees. They're thinking about swarming again. I've cut swarm cells out of them all spring. Is getting to move up into honey supers this year. For some reason, I don't know if it's the weather or what. They're putting all the honey in the lower, and they won't even draw on a honey super. I don't know what it is.
Well, what you can do is just do some reversing of the frames. Sometimes that helps. That's why it's good to run a variety of different hives. I've got one out there right now. The bottom 8 frame is solid, and half of the 8 frame median on top, they've got brood halfway up on the frame on 8 frames, and then the top of the frame down 3 inches is solid cap brood. On top of that, I've just put on white comb, which is going to be for comb. We're going to produce comb honey. So we use the bleached out white comb foundation for that. We don't use the yellow because if you hold a comb up to the light, you don't want to see that band of yellow through there. So the white blends in with the capping, so you get a better price for it that way.
Mm.
Comb honey is the biggest seller coming up now, right, for most everybody. You can get up to $25 a pound for it. I mean, it's high demand. Even if you take a medium box and put new comb in it and just get one of those cutters, any of the bee supply, you can cut it with a knife, but to make it easier, they got these little square cutters and you can just go along and cut 4 pieces out of a frame and then put it in clamshell boxes. And most places are getting $12 to $15 for that.
I was going through one of my big hives out there last week, and I found a frame of brood, cat brood, that literally had no honey on it, no pollen, drawed all the way out from the top to the bottom in the corners, and they wasn't 7 cells on both sides without a cat brood. I never seen a frame of brood like that.
Bees will do some strange things. Now, even on good breeder queens, I found them when they lay wall to wall and to the top and maybe have not even a teaspoon of honey in each corn in a little crescent. Now, even on something like that, they don't build or they don't fill every single cell. You'll have one here, one there missing, and I've never figured out why, other than maybe they put something in there we don't know, or it's some kind of a reserve for a queen cell or something.
Yeah.
But I've even had people that's been doing this for longer than I have, and they don't even have an answer for me.
I seen a study on the university the other day, said them open holes like that was caused, she mates with like 15 drones. If she mated with a drone out of her bloodline and that egg passes through the sperm on that, it'll naturally abort. That's where you get the holes in the brood.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
That's what they say. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know.
Well, you never know. I mean, I don't have an answer for it. I've seen it happen. I've seen a lot of strange things that are not completely explained, but I knew somebody must have had an answer for me.
Yeah, that one frame though, I bet you there was probably 7 cells on each side of that whole frame that had an open hole in it. It was amazing. I need to take a picture, go back out there and see if anything else hatched yet. Take a picture of it.
Yeah, you need to take a picture of it.
I mean, they always put honey on it. This has 0 honey. There's no honey on the frame, nothing but brood, cat brood.
Well, you can't complain. You got a good laying queen. Did you get all them queens I sent you all put in and everything?
Yep, they're out there working time. They're ready to sell.
You got more stock now. Now you can actually officially say you got the Fat Bee Man stock up there, and everybody come pouring to you.
I'm waiting to advertise yet. I've got probably 30 boxes out there ready to sell, but I don't know.
Well, you could be the northern distributor.
We'll see. I tell you what, I need to build about 3 times as many boxes as I got.
Never going to have too many boxes.
Come on, somebody wants to talk. I'm going to get off here. Don't let somebody else talk.
Okay. Welcome back.
I keep falling out tonight.
You might be having a weak internet signal.
There's something going on. I had to get all the way out that time to come back.
Well, sometimes you have to refresh the page. I guess it depends on the bandwidth they're using it that night or whatever. I know I look like I was fuzzy and fading in and out, and I refreshed the page, and it looks like it's a little more stable now. But I'm no high-tech person on this V thing here, this computer.
Yeah.
That's why I like to get a co-host in here to kind of help me out and see what's going on.
Yeah, I hear that. You know, Joe, he's not going to sell any bees. He's going to keep them all. He likes them.
I think that's what's going to happen. By summer, at the end of summer, he'll probably have 200 hives up there. But he's going to retire, so he have something to do.
I think he's in middle. He's in middle Indiana up there somewhere. I think.
Yeah. Colonel wants to know if I just had 2 nukes you want to increase, how would you do it with only 2 nukes? Well, you only need a frame of bees and a queen cell. As long as you got queen cells, 2 nukes, you can make 10 splits. Because you're going to get field bees fly back to the parent hive. And I've showed many times out there in my bee yard, you need a couple of bees and a queen cell, and that's it. And Dean wants to know, do we ship queens or is it pickup only? We ship queens. If you want a queen shipped real quick, the best thing to do is send a money order or a bank check. And when we get it, we ship it out that day. If we get our mail at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we have to have everything up to the post office by 2:30, 3 o'clock. And they go out. If you send a personal check, we clear the check and then we send these out. And we ship them priority mail, and usually when we ship them, it's anywhere from 1 to 3 days, as a rule. I guess a lot of people didn't know I shipped queens, but I guess that's a good question. So. I guess Joe's going to tell us he's got all them bees up there he's going to start selling.
Yeah, one of these days. Hey, Don, are you making your own candy for the cage, or somebody else making it for you?
Well, you should know better than that. I don't know. I don't buy nothing. I make everything.
Well, I know you make it.
I'd make the staples and the bread.
Well, I mean, would you have the students make it or whatever?
Oh, well, I teach them how to make it, but normally my wife makes up the candy most of the time.
All them 15 queens, only 2 of them released. It was so hard I couldn't put a nail through it.
Huh. Well, was it on the outside? Sometimes we put so many holes in that package. If it's the way it sits in the post office and that, it could have dried out.
None of them. I had to direct release all of them after 3 days, except for I think 2.
If they don't come out in 3 days, that's the best thing to do is direct release.
Yeah, that's what I done. Just spray them a little sugar water and let them walk out.
Yep. Dean wants to know, how do I go about ordering queens? He wants 10 queens. It's Columbia. Best thing to do is to get on the web page. My complete address is on the web page. Dixie Bee Supply or thefatbeeman.com. And on 10 queens, it's probably going to be $7.50 to $8 shipping. That's priority. And they're $30 each.
Have you not
we'll ship.
Have you not figured out an easier way to put them nurse bees in them queen cages yet?
Have I figured out how to do the nurse?
Easy or what?
We've been putting attendant bees, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
The nurse bees, usually we don't try to pick them up. The nurse bees, they are good for building up your boxes, but they're not good for shipping. And the reason for that is, they're a little bit more inexperienced. You want some bees that are more experienced. So we watch what we're putting in there. We try to put the field bees in.
As many dead attendant bees I've got in them cages you send, you must get a lot of stings. You kill them all.
Well, I'll tell you, if you look at my fingers, you can probably see there's a lot of little black dots. And I have more than once had students say, "Don't you feel that?" I've had stingers in my fingers, and I don't feel them.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're going to get that.
I figured you was getting stung because like 2/3 of the attendant bees was dead, and the queens were fine.
Well, we have students catch them. Steven sometimes gets a sting here and there. Welcome, Benjamin. You got a question? Fire away. Can you hear us, Benjamin? Benjamin, you hear us? I don't know. Benjamin is not hearing us. You got a question? Put it on in there. No question. I guess you got camera shy.
Yeah.
I'm here to help people. If you don't want to ask those questions now, I can't answer them. I'm not a mind reader, I'm a beekeeper. And I work hard at doing that. You got any more questions there, Vance?
Not really.
Yeah. You just enjoying the conversation going on, huh?
Yeah, just enjoying the conversation.
One good thing is it goes up on YouTube and you can watch it, again.
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Sometimes people get tired of hearing the same old thing. That's why I worry about, going ahead and boring people. So we try to keep it fresh all the time.
Well, there's a lot of things. You've helped a lot of people.
Well, if I can turn one good beekeeper out, every time I do a chat, I feel I've accomplished something good.
Oh, yes.
I guess Joe May has started watching me a long time ago, and he told me he just practiced what I was putting on YouTube, and look where he's at now. He's got hives coming out of his ears. He's making splits all the time and saving all that money. You don't have to spend a dime on education.
And he likes every split. He's going to keep them.
Dean says, generally Russians are more aggressive versus Italians or Carniola. Well, that's probably true. I had Russians here from 2 different Russian certified breeders, and I end up getting rid of them pretty quick, because if you look at the videos, we have women out here that work the bees with no bee suit. A lot of them have shorts on, no gloves, no veils. So, sometimes we have kids come up here with their parents to pick bees up. So I don't want bees that are very aggressive. I want bees that are gentle for people to work, and the bees need to be good producers and have good survivable. So, yeah, the Dean is telling us exactly what I found right here. So that's why we don't run those. I mean, it's just like everything else. People get bees because people advertise that they got this bee and that bee is so good. I don't want bees that are that aggressive and they're very flighty.
Yeah, I know you use the brick technique, Don, but for me, the whiteboard on the bee yard, I set in there after I'm done. I know what every hive needs.
There you go. You better bring that board with you so it keeps me straight.
There's several. It's color coded. It's pretty simple, really.
Well, that's why I use the bricks. It's as simple as I can come up with.
Yeah, but I come in here and I know exactly what in there. If I got 2 cells to cut, I know that I got a cell in there. I know that I got 2 I got to cut out of there. They need to move here. It works pretty good for me.
Yep.
Why is it you can't remember what's going on with your hives? You know you got something, but you don't know which hive it's in.
I'm going to tell you, you go through 30 hives and you can't remember which ones you've been through.
That's right.
That's why I'm using my brick system. So if I'm at the edge of my yard and someone drives in, my driveway's got a big, sharp curve to it. And if they usually pull in, they'll pull up into that curve and they'll stop and they'll look around and see where I'm at. If they walk up to me and say, do you have 15 or 20 queens or 5 nukes? I can stand there and just gaze across my bee yard, and I can tell the way the position of the bricks, how many queens I got, how many are virgin, how many nukes is ready to go, and just it tells me what's going on in those boxes. But I haven't had time to build a big billboard like that and carry it around and keep track of what's going on. A lot of it's memory, a lot of it's bricks. So that works for me. And let's see, Dean caught a swarm. And he couldn't mess with them, so he added a 5-frame nuke with Italian queen to breed. Sometimes that works, and sometimes it don't work. You need to find the queens before they go into the hive, and just put the kind of queening you want, or use your own cells from gentle bees. And Chesapeake bees had 2 swarms, and he was wondering why they landed in the same spot. Sometimes bees just use some particular tree they like. I got a picture of one of my pine trees by my bee lab. It looks like huge Christmas ornaments, the size of basketballs. I had about 7 hanging in the tree at the same time. Come out of a lot of different hives, and sometimes they just have a particular tree they like. I don't know if it's smell or just location or availability, but they prefer pine trees a lot more over than the oak trees. I found that.
Are you compressing 5-frame nukes to get most of your queen cells done?
Well, we don't, what you say, compress them. We just feed the heck out of them all the time. We put the sugar to them, whether it's a honey flow or not. In fact, I had a new student here today, and we was talking about when I've done videos on how to tell when a honey flow starts up. And you can usually tell within 10 to 15 minutes. I went out and I got a couple jars that had honey that had a little crystallized sugar at the bottom. And I had a box out there I use as a robbing box. And it had 3 frames in there. I just poured some honey over it. And about an hour later, all of a sudden, they all started working and just swarming around that box. And I looked at him and I said, honey flow just stopped. And he said, well, he never believed it. You could tell that soon. And then probably 2 hours later, the honey flow kicked in again. They didn't even bother that box. It was still honey. And they just all left and went out and worked the honey. So that's the way I've done a video to where you take a ketchup bottle, put honey in there, and just squeeze your line on the entrance of the landing bowl. Those bees will actually walk right through that honey if there's a nectar flow. If there's not, they'll line up like a bunch of pigs, and you can see when the honey flows. And it's pretty close, 10 to 15 minutes, one way or the other. Also, as far as the honey flow, all the plants don't come in at the same time during that one day. You might have one thing blooming, and then 2 hours later, it kind of shuts off, and there's something else kicks in, and the bees work something else. Right now, clover, privet, and we got a tail end of the blackberries. The wild strawberries are blooming, sheep sorrel. Some of the trees are still putting out a little nectar. Sweet gums is working good, and the hickories is working good. So everything is just a variety. You can spend more time trying to figure out what's blooming and what's the nectar's coming in. And TJ wants to know, what's the least amount of frames that you put in a walk-away split to make cells? Well, there again, most people that's making walk-away splits, they usually have a 10-frame hive or an 8-frame hive, and they just divide it in half and hope for the best. That's why I don't do walk-away type splits like that. I have a cell ready to hatch, put 1 frame in there, shake enough bees to keep that cell warm, and that's how I make my splits. It's basically economics. What works the best for the least amount of bees you have to use and the least risk that you have. Thomas has got a question up there for me. So go ahead, Thomas. You can jump on the video if you want. We have a seat open. The colonel says we are asking about making cells, not splits for increases. You can keep a hive, the 2 things that a hive's going to do is going to make honey and it's going to make population. So main thing is just don't add supers. They will automatically make cells. Now, I hope that answers your question. Bees are only going to do 2 things, store honey and multiply. So when they get restricted, the natural thing is to split, subdivide, and go out and make a new hive. So that's how you get your cells. Best cells you can get. And Thomas set out swarm traps, and he's using lemongrass. If you don't put too much lemongrass oil in a box, you will get a swarm. Bees are always looking for a new place to go. I'd suggest if you're dipping in pure lemongrass, just dip a Q-tip in there and just rub it around the center of the box, and then just leave the Q-tip in there. You can put frames in there. You don't even need wax. Just a box for them to stay in with a lid. Mr. Baker, evening. Can you hear us? Guess you got a slow internet tonight. Can you get on, Mr. Baker? I guess he's having internet slow. It must be on a cell phone. Yeah, it must be on a cell phone. I think a lot of cell phones is not compatible with this Blab. It's part of the Twitter account, I guess, and it's just not compatible with a lot of things. You can type your question in, and we'll try to get it. Dean wants to know, when I make queen castles, do you need 2 frames? You can use 1 frame in a queen castle. And we have somebody just send a thing and want to know, what part of the country am I in? I'm in North Georgia, and I'm at the edge of the mountains. And I work as a full-time commercial beekeeper here. If anybody else got any questions, we are going to wind up here pretty quick. If no one else will see somebody else, I think HUD's trying to call in again. Let's see, maybe. Are you getting in, HUD? I guess he's having cell phone problems. Jamie's going to try to hurry up and get in here. I guess he's still having trouble getting in. Well, if that's about all the questions we got, I'm going to say good evening and thanks for joining the chat. And you can look at the web page and give your feedback on the new web page. And we're going to kick ideas around on the next chat about Fat Bee Man t-shirts, if anybody be interested in them. They'll be custom made, shipped out directly to you. If you're interested, we will entertain that idea. So everybody, good evening and thanks for joining.